Joining us from the Media Center is our correspondent Abdulrahman Al Muhanna to elaborate further on the progress of the preparatory talks. Good evening, Abdulrahman. Good to have you with us once again. What is the latest update at your end, Abdulrahman?
Good evening to you, Maha, and to my colleague Mazen, and to my colleagues at the studio, and to the day viewers of KTV2, coming to you live from St. Regis Hotel, from the Media Center, exactly where the process is going as smooth as possible, with the presence of the officials of the Ministry of Information. They're present right here to ensure the smoothness of the processes that go as smooth as possible, with the, of course, and also the presence of media coverages by other media agencies from the GCC member states. They're going live, as we do as well, to do further coverages and expand the image that we're trying to provide, not only across the GCC but to the whole world of the 45th GCC summit. And now we have important information to give to you. We're live to cover the 45th GCC summit, where leaders from across the GCC countries will meet and discuss critical issues at critical times. And one of the key topics is the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. The GCC countries are expected to reaffirm their stance and their global stance and united stance on that, and supporting the Palestinian people, and of course ending the violence and ensuring urgent humanitarian need and throughout the international organizations such as the UN through resolutions, or whether it be international financial backings and other forms of help. And of course discussions will likely focus on securing international support for rebuilding efforts and other kind of efforts. And of course, as the host, Kuwait has done a lot as the leadership by fostering Gulf unity and highlighted shared cultural and historical bonds, as we have the Abdullah Salim Cultural Center's GCC Pavilion, which marks a historical landmark and a cultural landmark, and aligns with the GCC's 45th summit's vision. And it's been open since November this month and will go until December the 13th, and it's open to the public of the Kuwaiti and for GCC member of states as the cultural landmark. And of course, before we move to our exclusive guest that we have right here, one key topic that is high on the agenda of the GCC leaders would be the economic integration, which is also, as we said, high on the agenda. They have initiatives to diversify their economies and to decrease the reliance on oil, and of course push for more renewable energy initiatives, and as well as sustainability and digital transformations. Of course, touching upon projects like the custom unions laws, and as well as the railway that connects most of the all of the GCC countries, and as well as the common free market founded by Kuwait in 2008. And on that note, to discuss further details from the political side and even on the wider global world and their view of the GCC summit, we have an exclusive guest, Jamal Shaheen, KTV reporter from London. He's right here in Kuwait to share his exclusive insight on the GCC and how the world would view such a summit, which is the 45th marks this year. Well, Mr. Jamal, thank you for being with us. Can you please tell us, to begin with, what is the significance of this summit?
Thank you for having me. We have first to agree about why GCC is very important. This is, if the bloc itself, it will be like the third or the fourth largest GDP in the world. In this time, as we can see, all of the world have economic issues. The growth of the economy is the main issue of the world. Now, the only country have a growth and have a good wealth and have a strategy, it's GCC country. As I mentioned before, if the whole bloc will be the third or the fourth GDP after United States and China, and it will be more over the EU itself. And also, if we, in this hard time, we have a problem, the political tensions, the geopolitical problem in Ukraine, in Middle East. This is why it's very important. If I quote from you about the GCC railway, this is the third or the fourth major project in the world. If we can count 17 major projects in the world, which one of them is to build a new international space station, we will find 3 of them is in GCC country. So this means if we're looking to have a growth in the economy to make growth and development, GCC is in the top. If we go to the political tension, we have the role of GCC in Gaza. By the way, I can quote from Mrs. Annalise Woods, which is the Minister of Development in the United Kingdom. She said in the Parliament, the role of Kuwait in supporting Gaza with UNICEF, it's a major role. We should thank Kuwait about all of this. Don't forget also many of the organizations thank the Kuwaiti doctors who are nearly the only Arabic doctor is there. So in everywhere you will find GCC country is there. This is extra. This is what gives them a more, the economy will give them more power to make stability and peace in the Middle East. There is no peace and stability in the Middle East without GCC country. And this hard time, we need to know who will rebuild Gaza. Everybody is looking to GCC country. This is why this summit is very, very important.
Mr. Jamal, now, I mean, moving from the internal to the broader picture, I mean, how would the world view the GCC summit or even the GCC countries as rising players, political and economic players worldwide? And also, do you think from economically speaking, I mean, how would the GCC economic integration, would it be more inspired by the Euro example, which has been going for decades now? I mean, even though the Euro has probably reached the unification of currency, probably it's been the last factor. As we know in the field of economy, this is one of the last factors. So do you think it's one of the things that the GCC could be inspired by?
I would like to use some word called influence, which means in Arabic tashabik. The history of the GCC country and the future is influent to each other. The culture, the political, the idea, the political view for the whole GCC country is the same. This gives them more power. If we can look to the EU now, UK make a Brexit and go out from the EU. There is also some call inside France called Frexit. I mean, France need to go out because the problem in EU, we have like 4 or 5 countries, which is good, like Germany, France, Belgium, Netherlands, who pay for the whole budget of the GCC for the EU. One of the problems in EU countries is still some political issue in EU. Okay, if we compare what's happened last 2 days in Gaza, most of the EU countries said they will follow the rules of ICC, International Criminal Court, except Hungary said, no, I will ignore and we will find criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. But here, if we compare GCC country, is the more thing to connect them is more than the EU. But yes, also if we compare the EU, it takes like 50 years to build the EU. So I do believe the GCC country will be succeed. Don't forget also the GCC country becomes under the spot. It will be a political and economic hub. If we back to what's happening in Qatar, the succeed of the FIFA World Cup, and then in Saudi Arabia, and the most of the conference which is being in Kuwait and others succeed, this makes them more attractive, more power, more economic influence, and the more development.
So much. Thank you, Jamal, for these insightful, elaborative answers. Dear viewers, that was our correspondent of KTV in London, Jamal Shaheen, present right here in Kuwait. And as you can see, he mentioned the importance of the GCC summit and also the GCC countries as players worldwide, politically and economically, and of the solidarity of the economic integration and how they could probably exceed even worldwide. And also, based on that and in relation, we could touch upon the idea of a free market. Imagine if we had a common market, an implementation of the idea and the concept of the common market, we could have and boost the economy way more than it is already boosted, such as we could be open in terms of businesses, a Kuwaiti business our entrepreneur could open up a business in Saudi Arabia and Qatar and UAE with the same privileges as the national in UAE or Saudi Arabia or Qatar, and vice versa. And as well as, before I let you go, the idea of the railway which connects all the 6 countries, which is in terms of length is 2,000 kilometers and estimated to be spent upon $250 billion. But in return, there will be high returns because it's going to be increasing freight transport, reduced logistical support, and enhanced tourism in terms for the GCC economy. And as of now, all we wish is that on December the 1st in Kuwait City on Sunday, that the process of the 45th Supreme Council GCC Summit go as smooth as possible. Back to you, Maha.
Yes, Abdulrahman. Thank you, Abdulrahman, and your guest Jamal Shaheen for your update.